Traditions and culture shape who we are. Let's expand our horizons over a cup of tea. This is a Candy Factory Convo. Get cultured with Timbrel Kiathi.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Get Cultured. This is Timbrel Kiathi coming at you on a beautiful spring day. I am super excited for our show today. I'm doing a little bit something different. I decided today to just speak from my heart about a topic that right now is very important to me. When I started this podcast, I really wanted to be able to connect cultures, community, and bring in awareness and understanding of traditions and culture and people so that we may better understand each other as well as get along in our communities. And right now, there's something that has really been getting my attention is the amount of Asian hate crimes in America. To me, this is something that for the past couple months now, I keep reading about, I keep seeing on the news and on social media, as well as hearing from some of my very close friends who are Asian. I cannot just sit around anymore and not say anything. So today on our podcast, I wanted to talk to you about the Asian hate crimes and how we can do better in our community and in our neighborhoods to help our Asian neighbors, friends, and family. The Asian hate crimes have actually doubled or quadrupled really since last year. Recently I saw a study that showed that there was about 4,000 Asian hate crimes in America that have been so far calculated. Most of them happen in bigger cities like New York or LA, even in Chicago, but they also are happening in smaller cities and in our towns all over America. This is breaking my heart beyond words. I consider myself Asian American. Though I am East Asian, I'm still part of the Asian community. And I know what it's like to be in this position right now and the fear that a lot of Asians in our community are feeling. Since the start of the pandemic, COVID-19, Asian American hate crimes have increased. This is not a pandemic that was started by people, and the Asian community should not have to be blamed for this and also should not have to feel the pain of this because during a pandemic, we're all struggling. So to have racism also be something that we're struggling with and hate, that just makes this so much worse. The Asian community, culturally, traditionally, is a community that's focused on family. It's focused on being a close-knit family, and usually grandparents live with the parents or parents live with children, and they're big families that live in their homes together. Most of the Asian community hate crimes have been against the elderly in the community because they seem to be the most vulnerable right now. This not just hurts a family, but it hurts a whole community in whole. The Asian community respect their elders and want to do the best they can to protect them. So right now, what I want people to know is that it's our job as a community to stand together and to also help us protect our neighbors. I know you're probably like, what can I do? How can I really help when we're in a pandemic, when it's so hard just to, go through every day with all these new changes? But we can do something as simple as checking on our Asian friends, checking on our Asian businesses in the community, seeing what they need, or if they've been dealing with hatred in their business. I am a business owner in the community, and I know that there have been a lot of comments made in my business alone, and it's not easy. It's not easy to go through this. It's not easy to feel like you're all alone, and that's something that I want to make sure that we are not letting our Asian neighbors feel. I will be having more Asian guests on the show that get to share their culture and their traditions and beautiful aspects of their culture so that we can learn more and that we can understand them better. But until then, I want to do my part in explaining the Asian culture the best that I know how. As an East Asian American, I know that the things that are very important to my culture is family, is also making sure that you're at peace with yourself as well as the people around you. When I think about my family and what we believe, it's that we all are in this together. When I look at the way that we have been taught, me especially, is that elders deserve the most respect in a home and in the community because they have already seen a lot and have a lot of wisdom to share. This wisdom is important for the future generations, and our elders need to be around to share their wisdom and share their understanding and to be able to pass that on. As Asian Americans, we come to this country to have a better life and to be able to share our culture and to be able to have opportunities that this country has to offer. So right now, to see that this country that has so much promise and so much belief in freedom and individuality, yet people have been treating us so differently, it does cause a lot of pain and hurt. And I really just want you, whether you are Asian American or non-Asian American, to see that right now it's our time to stand together. The more that we understand one another is the more we can help one another and stand by one another and protect one another when we need to. So that's what I'm asking for today. I do see the numbers in the hate crimes rising each day more and more. And like I said, though they are mostly shown in larger cities, it happens in your neighborhood. And it's probably happening with your friends and neighbors, and they're not able to tell you this because it's part of their life that they live every day. But it shouldn't be. It should be something that we all notice and want to change. When I talk about culture and traditions, I feel pride learning about so many new cultures out there, traditions out there, and people out there. A sense of pride that we all can come together and learn and be part of this world and share our culture and traditions with one another. So that's what I want to see our Asian community be able to do, and do that proudly, and do that with protection, and do that knowing that they are not going to be treated any differently. When I speak to my Asian friends, when I've asked them how they're doing, a lot of them said that they're scared. I actually had a guest on this show who was going to come on the show, but they decided to wait a little bit because they don't really know how to put into words exactly how they're feeling. And I understand that, and I want to support them through this. So I wanted to do that with my voice first, so that people know that this is where I stand on a topic that is very important. Chai, when I think of it, or tea, when we come together drinking tea, we're sharing happy stories and we're sharing good things. But sometimes having a cup of tea with a friend is not always happy. It's not always joyful. Sometimes it's with sadness that we have to have a cup of tea, or with a lot of gloom. And today, that's how I'm having my cup of tea. Even though it's a beautiful spring day, even though the sun is shining and there's so much promise for this summer and the future, I still feel a lot of sadness right now knowing what's going on in our world. I appreciate each and every one of you joining me today. When I thought about doing this podcast, I was really nervous. I didn't know how individuals would take this podcast. It was very different from the normal podcasts that I have been sharing. But I really felt like it was important to share one-on-one and to let people know that I'm not the only one that's feeling this way, that there are other people that are feeling this way, that there are so many people that are not able to have a platform to share their struggles and the pain that they've been feeling the past year, not just through this pandemic, but with racism, with people judging people by where they're from and who they are, culturally, traditionally. My heart hurts for them because I know how hard it is. I grew up as an Asian American and Indian in my community as one of the very first people in my high school that graduated that was Indian in my class. And I know what it was like to always feel left out or not understood. I know what it was like to be bullied and to be thought of as different. And I genuinely thought that that would only last through school, and then after that I would find my own place, and the community that I put myself into, it would be different. And it was like that for a while. And I found my place in my community, and I found my voice, and I wasn't treated the same as when I was treated as a child, but things have changed recently, and I do feel it again. And I don't think I'm the only one. When sometimes I go to stores and I see people stare at me, and I know it's not something positive, but something negative, I do get nervous. I do check my surroundings to make sure that I have an exit plan, or I know where I'm going, or that I know that I'm safe walking to my car. And these are things that I shouldn't have to feel, and no one should have to feel. When I was looking at the numbers, not only were these hate crimes have, increased, but they've actually increased a lot more with women of the Asian community. And that to me scared me even more. I consider the next generation, the younger kids out there that have to see this. I feel for them. And I feel that they should never have to feel this. And it really, really stinks that they do. So friends, I really want you to just think about where you are right now and how you can make a difference in your community, with your friends, with your employees, with your colleagues, whoever you're around that right now is Asian American. How can you help them? How can you be a voice for them? Or how can you listen to them and so that you can hear them out? It's really simple. You can just go and ask. Ask how they're doing. It's a very simple question, but it can open up a door for you to understand them better and for them to understand that you care. Recently, another business owner just asked me, "How are you doing?" And of course, being a business owner, I have a long list of, oh man, I have so many things going on. But her question was really simple. It's like, how are you doing through all that's going on right now in your community? And to me, that meant a lot, because that meant that someone was noticing that this is a really hard time for my community and for the Asian Americans in our communities. And to me, I felt like I had an ally, someone who might not completely understand, but they wanted to understand. And our community needs that right now. We need allies. We need people to stand there with us, to understand, and to say that they will be there for us. So I know it's just a lot of me trying to help you understand and to help you see where I'm coming from, but today, really what I wanted to share is the importance of communities coming together right now, so that we don't have to go through this for another year. And I know that many of you that watch this show and listen to this podcast, I know that you probably believe the same thing, that you have to do something. And I appreciate that. I appreciate you supporting this mission, supporting culture and people and individuality in cultures. So I appreciate all of you today and for listening to this show, for making it through this whole show, listening to me vent to you about what is going on in the Asian community. I didn't really think I could get this raw in front of you and in front of strangers that I probably will never meet, but I needed to, because I wanted you to know that there are so many people struggling right now. People that are all around, that are probably right next to you, that cannot even put into words what they're feeling. And I want them to be able to. So yes, today on this show, I hope that if there's one thing you can learn, is the importance of trying to connect with the people around you. To try to understand their pain and have compassion, even if maybe you yourself have not felt that. Someone once told me that people don't really have compassion unless they go through that, or they go through something that's similar that gives them a sense of compassion. But I believe that you can have compassion for someone or for a situation, even if you have not gone through that certain situation. And that's what I'm asking today, is that people find compassion in their hearts for others that are going through this. It's so important to get cultured, and that's why I started this podcast, but also to be able to reach out to other cultures and make sure that they're okay through this whole process. We're going to get through this. We're going to get through this as a community, and we're going to get through this as we all come together and understand one another. That's the whole point of this podcast, to understand one another, to understand so many different ways of life, traditions, people. I always tell people, if I look at who I am as a person, yes, I'm Asian, and then I'm East Asian, and then in that I'm South Indian, and in South India, there's also little areas that are different from the rest of South India, and so we become more complex. But even in our complexity, and even though we might be very different from the other, I am very different from the other South Indian, we still all have a lot of similarities, whether it's family, foods, thoughts, religion, traditions, whatever it is. Even in our complexity, there's so much similarities, and that's really important for everyone to understand. So my friends, today on Get Cultured, though it was not like normal, though we were not able, or I was not able, to share with you a culture and have a friend come today and join me, I wanted you to know the importance of supporting your Asian community today, your Asian American community today, Asian Australian community today, wherever you are in whatever country you are in, to just support the Asian community. And in 1 year, or even less, I hope that this will not even be a topic of discussion, but will be something in the past that historically we can say was a really hard time, but we overcame and got through it in a positive way. So with that being said, thank you so much for being part of the Get Cultured podcast. Thank you for supporting, and have a wonderful day. Get Cultured is part of the Candy Factory Convo series and is a proud member of the Candy Factory Collective. You can find the show streaming on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and LinkedIn, and you can subscribe to the audio version anywhere you get your podcasts.
Passionate about uplifting people and supporting her community, Timbrel has made it her mission to connect and empower communities of all cultures. She is the founder of the social enterprise eco-sustainable brand Lush Bazaar, which is committed to sustainably made fashion and handcrafted products while providing fair wage jobs. She is also the creator of the Cultured Workshop, which focuses on the education of different cultures and traditions to understand diverse communities. In her downtime, you can find Timbrel traveling to new places or reading a book while sipping hot lemon tea with her dog beside her.
Get Cultured is produced by the Candy Factory Collective at the Candy Factory Co-working Campus in Lancaster, PA. Production support by Jason Mundock and Anna Tran. Administrative support by Ann Kirby, Ariana Henderson, and Krisha Martzel. Notes and links can be found on the show post at our website, candyfactorycollective.com. Candy Factory.
Collective.